So, first video of 2023, practice for basics quiz. I might actually stop doing these because it takes a lot of time, so I might switch over to just providing you a hard copy of my work. But, this is a half-hour job right here. Factor completely 24x squared minus 54. So when I glance at these, I notice they're both divisible by 6. That's my first commandment. If you can pull a number, pull a number. So if I pull a 6 from 24x squared, I'd be at 4x squared. If I pull a 6 from negative 54, I'd be at minus 9. It's the only way to factor this particular one, by the way. You've got to do that first before you see the pattern. Now, the pattern you're using here is the a squared minus b squared pattern, known as the difference of two squares. Something squared, take away something else squared, will always factor as a minus b times a plus b. Leave that 6 there, it's part of it. If you think about 4x being, if you think about a 2x being squared, you get 4x squared. So everywhere I see an a, I'm a 2x. And if you think about a 3 being squared, you get a 9, so a 3 and a 3, and then the signs are minus plus. That's complete factorization of number 1. Number 2, solve x squared plus 40 is 0. Well, that's what we call the square root technique. We just take away 40 from both sides. Then we counteract squaring by square rooting. And, we have to go back to the lessons of imaginary numbers and stuff like that. But I know this is imaginary. I also know that I like pandas. Almost forgot about that. I also know that to make a 40, I do 4 times 10. So hopefully you can understand what just happened as we move from that step to the next step. Now, the square root of 4 is a 2. So plus or minus 2i root 10. There are two answers there. That was a solve. This is a factor. It's just straight up guess and check. Lots of ways to make a 6x. I'm going to go with 2x and 3x. To make a 35, probably 7 and 5. It's the only factors I can think of, and you just got to think about placement. I'm going to go here and here. The reason I went there and there is because the outside would make 14x and the inside would make 15x. And I know that 14 minus 15 is negative 1. So that's factored. All right. 14 is what we call a difference of two cubes. Something cubed minus something else cubed will always factor as a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. Maybe you remember the lessons on SOAP for your signs. Same, opposite, always positive. Anyways, that's how it factors. And a is simply 14 and b is simply 8. So it's going to be 14 minus 8 times 14 squared, whatever that is. Nobody cares. Plus 14 times 8 plus 8 squared. And that's where we're going to stop with it. It's just factor it. That's all it is. Factor it. All right, solve the factored polynomial. This is the zero product property. You take each individual factor and you say it equals 0. Now, I don't know that you have to do all this work, although I'll make you do all this work because I want to see that you know what you're doing. You can at least show me that you understand the zero product property, that every factor is set equal to 0. That's what I did. Every factor equal to 0. And this one, I watch a couple of kids really struggle with that, but you just jump 3 over, you're done. There's 1. This is a 2-step operation. Move the 7 over, change its sign. Now divide by 3. X is negative 7/3. This one a little more complicated. So 2x is now equal to a 7th. We divide by 2, and we throw a 2 in the denominator on the right-hand side. 7 times 2 is a 14th. All right, FOIL and show your work. You have to show your work. You are allowed to use a calculator on these, which you can check your answer, but your work has to justify your answer. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 8i is plus 24i. Negative 2i times 5 is negative 10i. And negative 2i times 8i is negative 16i squared. When you see I squared, you're supposed to change a sign, throw it away. 15 and 16 makes 31, and 24 minus 10 is plus 14i. Ta-da! Number 7, solve using the quadratic formula. Always simplify. So here's the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then you just plug crap in. That's all you do. By the way, a is 3, b is negative 4, and c is 5. On the last basics quiz I gave, at least 3 of you were throwing in things like 4x and 3x squared for a and b. All we care about are the coefficients. That's it. We don't care about the x's. This is what x is. Wouldn't make sense to put it back in the equation again. All right, so opposite b, opposite of a negative 4 is a positive 4, plus or minus square root. I know it's negative here, but if you're going to square something, just drop the sign, because it's just going to become positive anyways. I've said that. I don't know if the wax in your ears has kept you from hearing that, but I has said it. A was 5, sorry, C was 5, A was 3, over twice A, twice a 3, which is 6. Cleanup operation. Inside that radical is 16 minus 60. Right? Seems right, which is negative 44. 20, 60. Yeah. Both pieces over a 6. Now I get to simplify. So this is what I'm thinking about in my head. All right? I'm thinking about the imaginary root of 4 times 11, because 4 times 11 is 44. A negative inside a radical means it's imaginary. And the root of 4 is 2, so 2i root 11. So I have 4 over 6 plus or minus 2i root 11 over 6, and now I simplify my fractions. 4 over 6 is 2 over 3, 2 over 6 is 1 over 3, and there are my two answers. Number 8 is a synthetic division problem. Synthetic division is one of the easiest skills you ever do in here. Now, this piece right here, it's a critical value, set equal to 0. The supposed x value is 2. Then we just load the top with coefficients. Oh, I done screwed up. It's apparently too early in the morning. The screw up here was that I forgot there was 0x cubed. So, anyways, 2 out front. That's a 2, not a 24 like I wrote the first time. 0, negative 3, 4, and negative 4. Then I drop, I multiply, and I add. And I repeat the multiplication and addition until I'm done. Drop the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 0 and 4 makes 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Negative 3 and 8 makes 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 4 and 10 makes 14. Twice of 14 is 28. I add and I get 24. Okay, I'm good with that. Remainder, constant, x squared, x cubed. So my quotient is the 2x cubed, sorry you can't see that, plus 4x to the second, plus 5x plus 14, plus the remainder, which is 24 pieces of x minus 2. Here we've got average rate of change. I did mention you get to use a calculator on this. And in a perfect world, you wouldn't need a calculator. But, some of y'all in numbers, you're like oil and water. You just don't mix. But the formula for average rate of change is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. Has been since I taught it to you in August. It will be till the day we're all dust. To find f of b, all I do is I plug a 5 in, because this is a and this is b. And I'm just going to use a storage feature, because Lord help you all if you have to do this by yourself in your head. Take a 5, store it to x, type in the equation. And again, if you don't have a TI-84, I'm sure our librarian is back from her maternity leave. She can probably give you a TI-84. It won't be a nice color edition like this one, but it'll do the job, and everything works the same. f of b is negative 35. Now find f of a by plugging in a negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 3 squared. Oops, I don't know why I'm writing it out. Just repeat the process. Take a negative 3, store it to x. And you've got two ways of bringing up old work. You can either arrow up to it, like that, or you can do what's called second enter, second enter. That's amazing. They were the same thing. It's also negative 35. I guess that was symmetry coming into play. But anyways, plug in my stuff. F of b was negative 35. I'm going to take away a negative 35, and it's over 5 minus a negative 3. This ends up being 0 over 8, which is 0. Number 10, the equation of a model rocket is given as negative 16t squared plus 128t plus 5. Determine the interval of time at which the rocket's height is above 100 foot. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the equation not equal to 100, but we're going to set the equation to be greater than or equal to 100. Then we're going to throw this bad boy in y1, or we're going to throw this bad boy in y2. I'm not going to do it by hand. A lot of y'all can't struggle doing it by hand, and I'm not sure you even understand what's going on. So anyways, I hit y equals, throw on the left-hand side in y1, right-hand side in y2. Hit zoom, hit 6, play with the window, because you'll have to. You're going to have to look above 100 foot to see this. So y max, let's say 120, graph. Oh, you know, I made a mistake here. I don't need the equality. It's just the wording above. So all I wanted was the greater than symbol. It's nice. So kind of what I'm looking at here, if I was looking at the full picture, I'd have this 100-foot line right here. I need to know these two times. I'll just call them time 1 and time 2. Those intersections. Second trace 5. Get your cursor close. Enter, enter, enter. One of them is about 0.8279. That is seconds. The other one, there's an ant. There was an ant. 7.121 seconds. So those are the left time and the right time. So I can do this one of two ways. I can either say that the time is stuck between these two values, or I can use interval notation, which is actually a little less writing as far as I'm concerned, but it doesn't matter which one you do. Pick one, go with it. So let me stop this video because I've done half the sheet. I don't want to lose my work, and sometimes things crash. And then I'll be right back in just a minute after a quick smoke break.